Welcome to the pre-season episode for Season 3. It's time to choose which team I'm driving for in Season 3, and there are only four options. Aston Martin, the team I drove for, so Williams that I drove for in Season 1, unavailable, the likes of Haas, Racing Bulls, Audi slash Sauber as well, Alpine, all unavailable, even Mercedes as two. So this is not going to be a road to Mercedes. Now, obviously, Aston Martin sort of ruled out because otherwise there won't be any driver transfers. Ferrari, I did them the last time. McLaren, maybe as well as another opportunity. But there is an alternative. Red Bull, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. So this is going to be very interesting. Obviously, Red Bull Ford in real life are having some struggles. And for them, the engine, in this career mode, the engine has been a bit of a letdown for them. But they did have a good end to Season 2, so I'm interested to see where that, what we can do with this team. Can I take Red Bull Ford to the Drivers' Championship? Well, we'll find out in this Season 3. We've got to get our Asian. To be honest, I don't know what she's actually been doing with herself since we last saw her in a cutscene, because that was probably at the start of last season, but never mind. Target rating is irrelevant because, we're probably going to beat that. We could go 88 probably. We might make 88, I don't know. I think I finished season F124 on 90 rated, so I went for 85. And there wasn't too much. I was literally just looking at the recognition there and fiddling about with it. So, the contract is signed, ladies and gentlemen, and I am now a Red Bull driver as well. So here, ladies and gentlemen, is the calendar of Season 3, and there are some changes. Most notably, you will know that the final round, of course, is where it should always be. Interlagos, ladies and gentlemen. If things go well with the recording side of things and I'm able to get episodes out in time for F126 DLC, then hopefully Brazil will be 100% race to finish off this season. There is a big if about when episodes are coming out. The other options, Monaco returns. We're going forwards at Silverstone this time. As well. And also just want to quickly mention the return of the United States Grand Prix to career mode, because I haven't done the United States Grand Prix in a career mode for about 105,000 years. I thought it would be nice to go back there, because I haven't actually been there in a career mode. Definitely since before they started sprint racing. It's been a very long time. I don't actually know when I last raced there in a career mode. I know when I last raced there on the channel, because it was probably last year sometime. But yes, let's though move to the driver transfers.
Male drivers face potential risk because they're overweight. It's claimed that they're more prone to heart attacks and also
Is that it?
I know, Pam, I'm just as upset as you are, but I'll come back to that in another video. Now, I am teammates with Carlos Sainz, and the last time I was teammates with Carlos Sainz in the driver career mode, this happened as Perez has made his second stop. We've got Carlos Sainz right up the back through turn 1, and there's contact there. And Sainz has hit us. It happened at Austria, and now it's happened here at Silverstone. The Ferraris have made contact, and this time it's more than just a graze. Sainz has lost his front wing. He's just ran into the back of us. I'm just braking normally for the corner, and he just, doesn't brake enough. As well, and Sainz has got no front wing. He's gone so wide that even Russell's just dives it down the inside. Hopefully we don't get any repeats of that, and I will be going for the Drivers' Championship in this team. I think it is possible. Now, livery wise, a little bit different. Obviously it's still the Ford blue on the car, but now there's white blotches. It's not quite right in my opinion. I'm probably going to fiddle about with this at some point. if I get that moment, but probably not. Basically, what I wanted to do is to try and create a half Ford, half Red Bull livery by having the blotches of white on the car, and it sort of does work. You can see there's a clean cut on the front wing, but around the air intake box there, it really doesn't. So, yeah. There are some sponsors, of course, changes. I brought all the usual ones with me as well as obviously Red Bull's existing sponsors too. So, yeah, I'm interested to see where this is going to be. Bearing in mind the engine is probably going to be something that we will focus on. I'm probably guessing the Sashi and the Aero will be good enough. We'll have a look at the R&D chart at the end of the video. Now, one team that's going to be challenging me for the title will be Ferrari, as the reigning driver and constructors champions, and they'll be doing that in an absolutely banging livery, in my opinion. This is probably one of the best liveries I've ever made for the F1 game. Definitely for Ferrari, considering the fact some of the stinkers that they've had in previous years. Remember the Mission Winnow liveries up at the late 2010s and how awful they were. I've got the Ferrari horse on the car. I think that's an iconic symbol for Ferrari. It is in white as a background as opposed to yellow. I think red and white does better. I've also got the Italian tree colour on the car too, so yes. And I've got the numbers from the Monza livery from 2025. I've added those to the car too, just because I can. I think it looks banging. I'm going to hopefully, we're going to be racing this lot, and I'm just going to be able to sit there and enjoy this livery as I race Ferrari for the title. Now, what you're watching here is not the McLaren livery. I made a late change to the McLaren livery because, well, I think you'll see why I've done that in the original. So what I've done is instead is reverse the colours around. So Papia as a dominant colour is back on the car. I've not gone for a chrome livery, it is just a grey. It is just grey on the car as a second colour, which I think works well with the Papia. I've used it before in career modes. It does work well. Obviously with this amount of carbon fibre, trying to make a chrome livery work, yeah, it doesn't really work. I think that the grey just complements the carbon fibre a lot better, in my opinion, as well. So yeah, there's a couple of things that are odd. This was a very late change, as in I made this change this afternoon, basically, literally while I was recording before this video was going up. So that is how late this change was. In terms of their drivers, like obviously Norris missed out on the championship. They looked good in the early part of the season, and then they didn't look good after about round 4, and it just went from bad to worse from that point onwards for McLaren, really, apart from a couple of standout. We'll have to wait and see what they can produce in this season 3 2027. Now, I haven't made many changes to the Mercedes. I've kept the same paint file. I had a thought about doing a silver version of this rather than the black, but it just didn't quite work for me. I also thought doing a chrome version, and again it just didn't quite work with the amount of carbon fibre on this car. And again, I'm hoping that I haven't really looked too much into detail to how much carbon fibre, how it's going to work on F126 DLC, but I'm hoping it's going to be better than this. You know, the fact matter is we have so much carbon fibre on these cars, it's unbelievable. In terms of Mercedes prospects for Season 3, it's a bit of a mixed bag. Russell maybe did win I think he did win a couple of races in Season 3, or was up there a couple of times, but Mercedes have been very disappointed with languishing in the midfield. Antonelli's AI is very underrated compared to what he's been achieving in real life. No way in this career mode is AI ever going to be close to winning a race unless there's a shock upset or a collision in the cut or pile up or something like that. They've added a few sponsors too. They've got Vodafone now, which will probably be paying a lot of money too, so as well, and a big AMG logo on the rear wing. Aston Martin, my old team, obviously they've now got Alonso and Tsunoda. We've probably been asking for this in real life, and it's probably never going to happen, sadly, to see these two together. Be interesting to see what they can do. Honda now their second season with Aston Martin. Obviously, the engine was very poor, as I know, in season 2 at the start. And that was where some of the focus went, along with tyre wear upgrades as well. Slight few tweaks to the to the livery. They've got the Honda now on the air intake in the white as well, so there's less of that fluorescent green/yellow, whatever it is, on the car. Other than that, it's a pretty similar livery, and to be honest, in my career modes, Aston Martin have always been British Racing Green. They do have a new title sponsor at Amazon Prime Video as well, so that will bring in a lot of money for them. Obviously, they probably lost out a lot of money when Aramco left them at the end of season 1. So bringing that extra money from Amazon and Amazon Prime. Of course, I've left the Power of Dreams on the rear wing. I think that's probably my favourite thing about this car. Now, I've decided to bring Renault back because this is the final career mode season I'm doing that's going to have a Renault powered engine in it. From future seasons onward, it will either be Mercedes powered or it will be historic, and I'll come back to that. So I wanted to give Renault a lap on it and bring the banana back to life. I mean, why not? It has been, it's that iconic late 2010s livery that Renault had with the black and the yellow, and I think it looks quite good. It adds a different shade of colour to the F1 Grid 2, although we did have yellow on the Williams, and I'll come back to that when we come to the Williams livery. In terms of their prospects, yeah, they've got a lot of work to do, to be honest, if they want to be able to progress up the field. Gasly, of course, has been leading the team since season 1, has realistically scored 99% of the points that they've got, apart from a fluke, I think, for Jack Doohan in one race or something like that in season 1. So realistically, again, unless Doohan really improves, they're going to have one hand tied behind their back in terms of the constructors. Next up, ladies and gentlemen, is probably a classic livery, and it's classic in the essence of the fact that it brings Alfa Romeo colours back to the grid too. After obviously they're away, and it's a shame that we don't have the team that's won the first Drivers' Championship on the grid sadly anymore. But nevertheless, in a partnership with Haas, I actually quite like this livery. It's back to basics for Haas with the white, as well with the sort of darker maroon alpha red colour as well. Obviously back in the 50s when Alfa Romeo ran, they obviously ran with this colour red because that's the Italian racing colour. That's the same why we've got British Racing Green for Aston Martin too. I'm interested to see what we're going to see at this team. Ocon was up there. He's got some podiums. I think, didn't he win a race at some point? I can't quite remember, but I'm interested to see what they can do. They've got some, to make up for the loss of MGM Resorts. They've got Microsoft, who are probably not paying as much money, but that's still a big amount of money, and they obviously bring a lot of sponsorship, including with Xbox, to the team. So they're not without money, and I hope we'll interesting to see where this team can improve. Now I turn to a very different livery. Racing balls are in light blue, and the idea of this was to go for whatever the Diet Coke version of Red Bull is. I don't know. I don't drink those sort of things. But I've decided, instead of having white with the ball and everything, to go with black because I think it looks better as well. Whether or not Lawrence Stroll would be happy with this, I don't know, but obviously you may notice some more sponsors that are linked to Red Bull on the team, and that's probably due to the fact that Red Bull sponsors were unhappy with Lawrence Stroll just ripping up the sponsors that they had, and then obviously getting in new sponsors. So where possible, Red Bull have inserted their own either subsidiaries or the same sponsors onto the Racing Bull car as well. Obviously there are conflicts. We've got Air Canada that conflicts with Virgin Atlantic, Hublot, which because of course Tag Heuer are no longer sponsor Red Bull in this career mode 2 as well. Just some examples, but I actually think it's a nice livery. But let me know what you think in the comments below. it is, again, it's less striking than the yellow ball livery that I had in season 2. Problem: Williams. Yep. So you might remember a few years ago, OG subscribers might remember a few years ago on, I think it's F22, I did a sort of white livery and it looked banging with the patterns and everything. I've tried to recreate that, but the Williams livery that they had in 2025 was probably not, it is not great in terms of trying to recreate that, and I think you'll agree this doesn't look great as well. I have tried to recreate it and it doesn't look great. It is basically just a white livery with some light blue and dark blue lines on it. So yes, I can only apologise about that. You know, it is, I made the best of a bad situation. It is nevertheless a white livery and it's something a little bit different for Williams, but you know, obviously I think the first Williams livery was white. Correct me if I'm wrong about that. I know that one of the very early Williams liveries was white and green because they had Saudia as a title sponsor there. Nothing too much else has really changed other than they've lost Atlassian as a title sponsor, really. Whether or not they'll go backwards, because you know they started out really well, just like McLaren, and then they just fell backwards as well. Albon even won a couple of races, but we'll see what they can do in season 3. And the final livery on the grid, Audi. Now, this is another one that quite hasn't come out as perhaps I wanted it to do. I was looking for something a little bit different, and it's not to be. Again, part of this is due to the fact that half this car is carbon fibre, but it is very stealthy, I will admit. As well, it's definitely not the worst livery on the grid here. But it's definitely not the best either. You notice the shades of grey and the shades of red, the splash of red. That's what I was sort of going for. I've tried to improve that with the numbers too. So yeah, in terms of sponsors, they got DHL as a title sponsor as well. So I think that, you know, that's probably going to bring in a lot of money. Other than that, I'm not entirely sure we're going to see this car too not often. Just like the racing balls, they've been at the back for this entire career mode. I'd love to have taken them at some point to the front, but alas, that's not to be. And you know, I have to come back and revisit this livery, of course, when they are Audi, when the 26 DLC, there'll be a lot less carbon fibre on the car as well. But those are all 10 liveries. All of them have been created by me as well, so that's why this has been taking a couple of months, I think, since the last episode to bring these out. So let me know your favourite livery in the comments below. But just before I come to the end of the video, as promised, here is the R&D graph. Now, Ferrari brought an upgrade already in pre-season to close that gap on McLaren, but obviously Ferrari had a bit more performance than McLaren on track rather than just on paper. We've got some upgrade as well. I haven't delved into what upgrade that is. Who knows what that is? Yes, I will be looking for that. I will look at a deeper dive at the start of the next video as well. The likes of Mercedes flatlined as Aston Martin. Williams, you know, at one point I think they were like the second fastest team at one point, and now the 6th fastest team. So they'll need to try and counter back. Then there's a big gap to the sort of the back mark of 4 teams: Alpine, Haas, and then obviously Renault and Haas, I should say, probably look very close together. Then Racing Bulls and Sauber, Racing Bulls and Audi, I should say, excuse me, right at the back. Yeah. In terms of what happens next, I'm going to try and record all these videos out with a 35% race distance. That's my target. Hopefully I'll be able to get 2 episodes a week recorded. Whether or not I get time to edit them all is another different thing. Fortunately, there are some bank holidays coming up between now and when the F126 DLC is come out. We still don't actually have a date at the time of recording for the F126 DLC, but we presume it's probably going to be 2nd week of June or 1st week of June, something like that, and I want to have it done beforehand. So it is going to be touch and go, but I'm going to try and get as many episodes done as possible. So yes, I just want to say a huge thank you for being patient with me creating this series. I know I haven't uploaded for like 20 or so days. You know, that's pretty much almost a month without any videos, and I do apologise about that. But my full focus has been getting this. It hasn't quite gone to plan with some of the liveries. They do look poor, but some of them look banging. Let me know what you think in the comments below as well. But I have been Phoenix84. I'd just like to say thank you for watching, spending 20 or so minutes of your time coming through, looking with me, through the F1 25 Season 3 Driver Career Mode liveries as well. But until the next video then, I'll see you next time. Take care. Thank you so much for watching. Enjoy your day, and goodbye.